welcome to our live stream. We'll give it just a second for everybody to log on, but thanks for joining us, and let's just make sure we're live.
And let us know if the sound and video is good.
Yep. Okay. So, Darren.
You have about 3,000 people joining by now?
Oh, yeah, for
at least,
sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we had somebody reach out from our Friday video. You had given some solar install tips, just some tips for installing solar on your roof. Yeah. And he said, or actually he or she, it's cat owner 22.
I like
we know about cat owners.
Yeah, there's a cat right behind Dakota in that windowsill.
Yeah. Thank you for the info. Can I ask they want info on the geosill roof sealant that you mentioned in the video, and can it be used on TPO?
Okay. So geosill makes a lot of products. Dicor has the better marketing plan, but like I said in that tip, I'll do Dicor. It'll kind of turn a little yellowish a little bit after a couple of years, and the geosill seems to stay white. Now geosill has EPDM sealant. I do believe it is for TPO as well. Just kind of read the back label to verify, but I'm pretty sure it works on TPO and EPDM. They have a self-leveling and a non-self-leveling. I do like the self-leveling when I'm doing roof work because it's kind of like that little melted caramel stuff that just kind of self-levels. I don't know. I'll check. We have an online Amazon affiliate store. You can get to it from our myriverworks.com website and just click on tools and you'll get to our Amazon store. I do under shop supplies. I have some sealants there. I'm not 100% sure if Amazon carries the geosill self-leveling. So I'm going to check for that. But it's got SL in the name. I think it's EPDM-SL, or maybe they put the SL in the front, but SL stands for self-leveling. But so there is that. I'm just not 100% sure if Amazon carries the geosill self-leveling. What was the second part of the question?
And can it be used on TPO?
Oh, I'm pretty sure it can. Just read the thing, the back of it. I believe it can. I think I've used it on both all fiberglass and EPDM and TPO. Pretty sure. Yeah.
All right.
We get ours from our big vendor up here is Laurelhurst, so we get it from our wholesaler. I order it during the winter. I order it in small quantities because I don't want it to freeze. I bought like a case of it one time, and then it froze, and then it was ruined. So I just let them keep it in temperature. So there you go.
All right, and then we have another one from a recent video. Todd says, my refrigerator and 4 different outlets stopped working at the same time. Refrigerator works on gas, but no electricity. I have 120 volts from power to ground on all outlets and only 55 volts from power to neutral. I think I've dropped a neutral, but how do I find it? GFCI protected outlets and only one resettable one in the bathroom that works fine. Help.
Okay. I would agree. Sounds like you've got an open neutral there. What's curious to me is you've got 55, was it volts on neutral?
That's what he said.
Referenced to ground?
Only 55 volts from power to neutral.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so if you've got, I'm going to just keep the math simple. If you got 120 from power to ground, but you only have 50-ish from power to neutral, then more than likely you have an open neutral somewhere. Okay, so if you've got 4 receptacles that are affected, normally they're daisy chained, so you would go upstream. So if I was there, I have a meter that I use called a Fluke TS90. They're not like giving those things away. They're not overwhelmingly ridiculously expensive either. If you do this kind of work a lot, I would recommend the Fluke TS90, and I just made reference to our Amazon store. I've got them under meters. I think data loggers is its own link. But anyway, you could find it on our affiliate store. That tool would, if it could help you in trying to flesh this thing out. Basically what the TS90 does is it gives you a length of from where you are, the way the wire is, not the way the crow flies, on how far. And I've got that TS90 featured in a couple videos. Finding open neutrals, finding broken wires. My go-to is that TS90. If I did not have the TS90, then what I would use is my meter in continuity mode, and you would have to go to all the receptacles that are affected and kind of take them off the wall. And you know, a lot of them are going to be the self-contained kind with those little, the wire slides into a little groove and cuts into the jacket, into the conductor, which is fine, but they're self-contained receptacles. You would have to then go to each one of your receptacles, maybe do one at a time, and just do continuity checks. Take the circuit out of the circuit breaker. Take the black and the white off of the wire so they're just two wires hanging in your breaker box. Do you have continuity there? And then you start working your way around. And sometimes I like those little Wago snap connector things where you can kind of take your white and your black, snap them together. Now you've got continuity between your white and black. Now start working your way into your RV to all of your receptacles, and sooner or later you're going to find one that is open. It does not have continuity. Your meter will show OL for open loop. And so now you've got it narrowed down between two receptacles, or maybe when you're taking your receptacle out, you see that these self-contained receptacles, it broke off. So those would be, even if I had my TS90, I might still have to do that. Finding an open neutral, finding any broken wire, it's kind of a follow the trail kind of a story. So you've identified it down to the 4 receptacles. Take the 4 receptacles out. You can do them one at a time. And take your black and your white and your neutral off of your breaker panel. So they're just, now you're just troubleshooting just bare wire. It's just wire on the wall. It's not connected to anything. And just check continuity all over the place. And like I said, those little Wago snap connectors, little orange clear window things, stick your wires in there, snap it, and then you should have continuity. So those are some things, and hopefully you'll find it. Personally, I like those kinds of quizzes. It's like a pass-fail. You're going to find it. You know, it's not like, gee, I think I kind of fixed it. It's going to be obvious when you see it. Don't be surprised if when you get into these self-contained receptacles, if the wire got brittle and just broke off inside. I see that often. So hope that helps.
All right. So welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us. We are doing our monthly live stream tonight, and so we go live every month. And we answer your questions. And so let us know where you're watching from. Go ahead and post that in the comments. It's really cool to see where everybody is tuning in from. We're over here in Sequim, Washington on the Olympic Peninsula. And so
it's a beautiful day.
It is.
Yeah,
it did turn out to be a beautiful day.
Snow covered up on the horizons there. So it's a beautiful, beautiful day.
We're going to get to answering your questions in just a minute. So just a couple tips for that. You can post your questions in the comments and we'll answer those live. Let us know the manufacturer and model number of your appliance, not the manufacturer model of your RV, but the manufacturer and model of your appliance. So your refrigerator, your furnace, your water heater, etc. Give a brief description of the issue, and then stay tuned because sometimes Darren will have follow-up questions that will help him to give you the best answer, and you can just answer those right in the comments. We'll be watching for those. So before we get to live questions, I'll ask you one. We had Curtis reach out, and he said, last fall I retired from 30 years of teaching math in Las Vegas.
Ooh, fun.
We moved into a 2014 Thor Challenger the year before. We love the RV life. My full wall slide began acting up in March. The standard gear tracks on the right side were getting chewed up. Okay. I found replacements on eBay for both gear tracks inverted, along with a pair of new inverted blocks. During the repair, I noticed the plastic rivets were deformed and pretty much useless. Question: why not secure the bearing blocks to both sides of the H-column with 2 small rivets, one on each side? Is this a big deal? The plastic rivets seem so flimsy. Please advise.
Okay, so it has to do with the rivets on these bearing blocks on the Schwintek. So one side of the so follow with me on this. One side of the Schwintek is fixed. The other side is allowed to float. Okay, and the fixed side has aluminum rivets, and the float side has plastic rivets. So the plastic rivets are there in shipping and installation, so the things are falling out all the time. So they just kind of hold it in place while you're building it. And then after it gets moved, if it starts to move a little bit, then the plastic rivets give, and then everybody's happy. They're just plastic. They're designed to fail there. If you order your repair kits, you'll have aluminum rivets in there. I don't know if they offer plastic rivets in there as well. But anyway, the plastic rivets are there just to kind of hold the bearing blocks in place while you're putting everything together. So you do want that room you want there to be a tolerance, an allowance of the room being able to float a little bit while it's going in and out. So the chances of it being perfect, it's never going to happen. So that's what the purpose of these rivets are. One side's fixed, one side floats. I don't think it's a terrible thing if both rivets are broken. I do like to see one side fixed, but the room will still work if both sides rivets have failed. The biggest challenge we see on the Schwinteks, I'll just mention this, is they're not lubricated. And I know that I'm going counter to what Lippert's saying. And Lippert, I love you, but I really believe you're doing a disservice telling people not to lubricate the mechanical components in these things. You've got some old Lippert Schwinteks out there that really need to be lubricated, and I understand that they've redesigned it and the new designs don't, but how do you know which one you have? And so it's a mechanical component. It's a plastic shoe sliding on an aluminum track, and I like the CRC Power Lube. We have a video that's going to be coming out here in like a week or two where I've done work on a slide room, and I show all the different pieces, parts. I think there's 5 different profiles that I've found just in what I carry around with me. And so anyway, be on the lookout for that new video that'll be coming out week or two, I don't know, pretty soon. It's the one I just recorded in the field just 2 days ago, so we just need some time to splice it and make me look good, because I say weird things sometimes. But anyway, to answer your question, one side fixed, one side floats.
All right, great. Okay, so thank you everybody for letting us know where you are joining in from. We've got a couple people from Canada, which is cool. We've got, let's see, so Bowman's Homestead, Seneca, Montana.
Ooh, Montana.
Or Missouri, I guess. I don't know my 2 state codes.
MN is,
I think it's Montana.
Yeah,
What's
okay.
MO?
Missouri.
Missouri. Oh,
Yeah,
I was trying a second time. Okay. That's okay. I was just retake 4th grade.
What do we know? Yeah.
Brampton, Ontario, Canada. That's
Yay.
Macy Morphworks. Ottawa, Canada is Surge. And then Linda is in Squim, so you're like somewhere just our neighbor right around here. Very
What's
cool.
What's it like there? Wow, I've heard really wonderful things.
Yeah.
Great RV tech in that area. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. Just want to remind you all that we've got a lot of cool stuff. So, of course, we've got YouTube. That's why you're here. But we also have a Patreon, which is a membership site, and we have added content and benefits there. So we've got a Growing Your Mobile RV Repair Business series. We actually launched the How to Start a Mobile RV Repair Business series last year, and we are going to be relaunching that for our $25 tier. And so if you're looking to become an RV tech, that's going to give you everything you need to know. We also have a business principles course that is on, we'll have a link that you can click on if you're interested in that. And so just check that out. Patreon, our course, we've got lots of cool stuff for you, and we even have tools. Yeah. Okay, so we've got a few questions. So I want to try to
itch my nose between them.
Oh, it's so allergies. This is referring to something that you just said, like I think just 2 questions ago.
Okay.
Jeremy says the TS90 will actually show wire length to the brake. Did I hear that right?
That is correct. The TS90 is basically uses time of flight technology. So follow with me on this. I have an extension cord. Okay. I have no idea how long it is, or maybe I'm at Home Depot and I got my wire on a spool, and I would like to know how much wire is on that spool. Or maybe I'm in an RV and I've got one end of the wire and I don't know how far it is to the brake. So what that thing will do is, if I grab, it's going to come with a black and a red alligator clip. So I'm going to grab, the 2 ends of that wire, parallel wire, and it's going to go out and find out where the wire is broken, and it'll report on my thing. So if it's a 500-foot spool of wire rolled up, it's going to say 500 feet on my display. If it's an extension cord, maybe it's 13.7 feet, if I cut it or something. Now, if the wire is, that's if the wire is open. It's going to say, here's how far your wire is to the open break, where it's end of extension cord, spool of a wire. A rat chewed a wire in your RV, open. If the wires are touching, then it'll tell you the distance, but it'll beep. So when I'm using this tool, I've used it in several of my videos. I use it several times when I'm trying to troubleshoot wiring faults, and I don't always make videos of everything. Sometimes the scenery or the setting that I'm in does not really allow itself to make a video, or maybe I'm running late. And but so if I connect something, if I hear a beep, I got a dead short somewhere. And it'll tell me the distance to that dead short, 10 feet. Okay. Or it just might not beep, and it'll give me 10 feet. I know that my wire is open at 10 feet. Now, it's always good when you're doing your Romex type to compare the black to ground, the ground to white, the white to black. Do your little triangular thing, because sometimes if let's say your white is broken, then it might give you a value of 10. But then compare that to the ground, and now it might give you a value of 20. Okay, so then you're just using those triangular ground to black to white to ground. You know, you can only check two at a time to kind of give you a vision on what's going on inside of the thing. Now, if you get a value of like 50-something feet and it's not too far, it's going through a coil of some type. The coil could be a motor winding, it could be a GFCI. The other thing, GFCIs don't really play well with a TS90, so sometimes you have to take those out of the loop. You're looking the best you can at just bare conductor from point A to point B without motor windings in it, because it'll read all the motor windings and then it'll have like a 300 lead. Like, well, it's reading all the windings in the coil. Through solenoids, it'll do the same. So where I've had success with the TS90 is just AC or DC. I'm a wire at this point. So when it's a wire, it's not AC or DC. It's just a wire. And it needs to be parallel. You need to find the parallel conductor. Now, if it's a DC, then I can just use the ground of the trailer, find a frame on the trailer member to connect my ground to, and then grab the live conductor, which is not live. You want to work on all these things when they're not energized, and it'll work that way as well. So it's been a phenomenal tool. It's found things that we've been called in to work on electrical shorts, and other shops and dealerships, they just couldn't find it, and then we get involved. And in fact, we have a 1-star review out on our page, on our thing right now, and the gentleman basically says, I'm going to paraphrase, to get an estimate. You know, so I knew where the short was. No, he really did not know where his short was. He kind of had an idea. And so when we got involved, we spent 2 hours on this job using the TS90 in this instance. When we got involved, he had a lot of circuits wide open, things disconnected. Yes, we knew there was a short. Everybody knew there was a short. With that TS90, we got that thing narrowed down within 10 feet of where the short was. We know that the short is on top of his tanks, and the only way to get to make that repair is to basically pull the tanks out. It's in a Class A. You just physically cannot get, we could see where they go, and you just physically cannot get to where and there's evidence of rodent chewing, rodent poop and everything all over the place. But the TS90 was allowing us to know where it is and where it's not. He also had a live conductor that he had coming out of his electrical panel box that we fixed for him. But and plus, he was 4 hours late for his appointment. We worked until 10 o'clock at night in the rain. We get a 1-star review for all that. And he basically says, well, I knew there was a short. Well, we told you exactly where the short was, you know. And it was a TS90 that basically told us that. We were getting a dead short. I remember the meter was beeping, and we would get like 27 feet, and then it would get down to 15 feet, and we would try to get closer and closer, and these wires, and we was like, okay, 10 feet is about as close as I can get. And so within 10 feet of the location that we were at, we had to take the wet bay apart. We had to get to the wires in the wet bay. They had those little, where the Romex connects with those little connector things they use when they're bringing a slide room in. We disconnected all that, and it was 10 feet from that location, which ran through a wire loom, basically running along the top of the tanks. So yeah, and we put all the stuff back together that he had taken apart, and yeah, we still got a 1-star review. So no love lost for working on all this. So yeah, but the TS90 was a hero on that job. I wasn't, but working till 10 o'clock at night to help him. But yeah.
Yeah, it happens.
Hey, yeah. Good luck if you're going to start a business trying to have all 5 stars. You're going to find people that just, you didn't fix it, so I'm going to give you 1 star. Well, fixing this thing is going to cost you thousands of dollars because you got to pull tanks out. Yeah, just sorry you have rodents.
All right, so Bowman's Homestead says Dometic AC works good, but when it's hot, the breaker keeps tripping.
Okay.
Now it's running good, but during the heat of the day, it trips after a few minutes.
Okay, I would like to know the current going to that air conditioner. So the trick when you're troubleshooting air conditioners is the basic low-hanging fruit on these things is get a current meter that'll read AC. And you said Dometic, that's either a blue or a purple wire, I think, going to the compressor. So what you're going to want to do is get a current reading of the current going to feed the compressor. And on the sticker of your air conditioner, it's going to have FL, full load amps, FLA. And also, you had a Dometic. You can use AI or like Copilot or whatever and ask, okay, well, here's my air conditioner model number. What should the amps be at 90 degrees? And hopefully AI can find this page. It's elusive to find, but if it's tripping the breaker, I would be curious if you're consuming more amps than the air conditioner should be consuming at that temperature. The hotter it gets, the harder the air conditioner works and the more amps it draws. But on your air conditioner, up on top of that compressor, you have a, what is that thing called? If the amperage goes, it's a circuit breaker basically on top. It's a little round thing with 2 little wires coming out of it. I think one of them is brown. We don't work on a lot of air conditioners up here, believe it or not. I know some of you throughout the East and the South and are like cooking right now, but we're like, what, 60s, 70? Oh, sorry, did I say that? So, but anyway, so if you're tripping your breaker, what we need to know is how much current is being consumed by that air conditioner. And then compare the current that you're consuming with what the spec is that air conditioner should be consuming at that temperature. So you need to know the temperature, the ambient temperature outside, and the amperage that your air conditioner is consuming, and then compare those two. Okay, so let's say, for purposes of instruction, that your air conditioner is pulling more amps than it should be at that temperature. Well, that might be an indication that you've lost some refrigerant. It could be an indication that the coils are not clean, so now you do your cleaning. There's that lemony stuff you spray in, a little wire brush that you kind of rake up. Fin combs is what they're called. There's the plastic fin combs, which I hate, and then you have a metal fin comb, which I've been using for years. The plastic fin combs you'd go through them like every month you're buying a new one. The metal ones are better. Now let's say that you read your current to your air conditioner and it's just way off. That the air conditioner is consuming the correct current. Okay, it's still tripping your breaker. Honestly, it could be the breaker. If I was a manufacturer of circuit breakers or switches or resettable fuses or anything like that, if I was a manufacturer of those things, then I would guarantee that it would work first one time. I give you the opportunity to reset it, and that's wonderful. I'm glad you could reset it, but I don't know what happened to it after the first time. And so every time you reset anything like that, you're fatiguing it. And the manufacturer's like, hey, we protected it the first time. After that, I'm glad you're able to reset it. I'm glad you're able to push a reset button, but we don't know what the condition was that caused it to trip the first time, and maybe that did some damage to it. So it could be the circuit breaker. You might need a new one. $8 to $15, I think, is what those are. Rarely is it the Romex wire feeding it, so you might want to look at your circuit breaker itself, especially if it's tripping constantly. Just put a new one in there. They fatigue over time. You need to know the current consumed by the compressor. Clean it. Clean all your coils inside and out, the outside condenser coils and the inside evaporator coils. If the air conditioner is consuming more current than what it's rated for, the air conditioner might be not as healthy as it was, and at that point you might be looking at putting on the new top unit, the head unit on, not the ceiling plenum and everything, but the top part. The compressors are hermetically sealed. There's no way to get inside of those. It's a motor inside of there. That's where most of your weight is. But there's really no way to fix those. And if you have a leak somehow, you can take the air conditioner off your roof and take it to somebody that's got the certification to do the repairs. But they're not really designed out of the factory to be tapped and filled. Our air conditioner manufacturer is expecting you just to swap it out. So those are some thoughts that we have on if your breakers are tripping in your air conditioner when it gets hot.
Okay. And James says, actually, if you're just joining us, feel free to post your questions. So we go live every month and we answer your questions live, and just feel free to go ahead and post your questions in the comments and we'll get to them. Just let us know the manufacturer of your of the appliance. I'm pretty sure the Kleenex box just went zoom right
We're
there.
having allergy issues.
Yeah, so just go ahead and put the manufacturer of your appliance, and that will help us. And then stay tuned in case we have more questions that will help answer your question. So James says, I have a big table couch slide that when you try to bring it in, it sticks at the beginning, it pops and bangs, and then comes the rest of the way in just fine.
Is this a Schwintek by chance?
Yeah, if you can let us know the manufacturer of it.
Power gear, is it a drop floor? Is it hydraulic? So help me understand a little bit more of that. So basically, I'll need to know what kind of slide room it is to help you the best. So when it wants to come in, it's sticking and popping and just having a bit of a fit, and then it comes in nice. It's just that initial, what was that again? I was waiting to hear what kind of slide room it was, so I wasn't really listening until I heard that.
Yeah, I have a big table couch slide that when you try to bring it in, sticks at the beginning, it pops and bangs, and then comes the rest of the way in just fine.
Okay, let me know if it's a drop floor, and let me know...
rack and pinion.
Okay, so it's an old power gear probably, so it's a drop floor. Okay, it sticks and pops. Correct? The drop floor?
I think so.
Flush floor. So it's rack and pinion on the bottom, square drive shaft with 2 bearing blocks. So you have a hydraulic ram or like an Acme screw type mechanism. Correct? Yes, that's what we're working on. Pops and snaps. Okay. Pops and snaps on that. One thing we do know on those slide rooms. So here I'm going to draw now. Okay. So now that we know what kind of slide room it is. This is the kind where it has a tube here, okay, and then that goes into another tube, okay, and it's got a roller here. Then it's got all the teeth on the bottom. Those are teeth. And then, oh boy, I think like right here, that's like supposed to be 3-dimensional coming out to you. You have this long threaded rod that's right here. And then it goes to your like hydraulic cylinder, or sometimes it's you might have a motor right here. Some of them, there's a motor right here. Some of them it's got a hydraulic cylinder. Some of them it's got an Acme screw. The point is to move this ram in and out. So the popping, I'm wondering, like right in here, there is gonna be some play right there in that long threaded rod. Okay, so that is to say I'm coming in, nothing's happening, right? And all of a sudden this nut will catch and start pulling it in. And then you might even hear this little rattling sound, which is like threads rubbing against this little bracket here. So a lot of people ask the question, what is that? So while the thing's running in and out, have somebody operate your switch and go look, and you'll see this ram moving in and out, okay? So that's how it's supposed to be. You don't want this tight. You want there to be a little bit of play right there. So the popping, and then it comes in just fine. So then on then you have a little bracket here, and your floor is like that. And then here is the RV floor. It's got a little drop piece. So it rides up on it and goes out. So you're popping and clicking. I would look at this to make sure that we're understanding what's going on right here. Where the motor and this gear pack is, there's a square drive shaft that goes over to the other one. Make sure that all your teeth, there's a 15-tooth gear pack and an 18-tooth gear pack. Make sure that you order the right one. If these things are squeaking really, really bad, What I have found is the drive shaft that goes through this gearbox is what needs to be lubricated. So you need to raise the weight up off of this, take this apart, take your little drive shaft out, squirt it with some Teflon, put it back together again. Also, deep inside of this, you have a roller. It's a steel roller that also makes a terrible squeaking sound. So just some best practices on these. Otherwise, I try to leave this dry. I don't really lubricate this too much because you've got these little plastic glides all in this part right here. That the plastic poly glides are kind of doing the lubrication. But you're snapping and popping. I would look for this threaded rod right here to make sure that we understand that it's moving okay. Snapping and popping. We did one, gosh. Another thing I think I might have you look at is this drive shaft. It's a square drive shaft, okay? And there's a little part of it that goes into a big part of it, okay? And then they have like a little hole and you align these two pieces. We did one not too long ago where it turned out that this was kind of a loose, where they fit into each other, it was kind of loose, okay? And this is supposed to be, I believe it's a grade 3 bolt. It's the weak link. They don't want the gear pack to be stripping itself out, so this bolt right here is the thing that's going to break, okay? And so what we've found, we get called in sometimes to fix these things. They replace this with like a grade 8 or grade 10 bolt, and it's just, it's not going to break, you know? And it starts stripping out the gear packs. So if this is breaking, understand why. I don't lubricate the teeth so much, but I do lubricate the gear pack drive shaft that goes through there. So if you can see your square drive shaft, make sure that have somebody operate your button, which is what we typically do, and just make sure that the square drive shaft is intact, that this little grade 3 bolt that's going through there is intact. Some of your noise might be coming from your drive shaft right here. Some of your noise might be coming from the slack, if you will, in this threaded rod, which needs to be there. And then you'll see this big cowbell looking thing. On some of them, they'll have this little cowbell looking thing, and that's like the hard stop, which you can adjust, which hits something hard on the frame if your system's not closing all the way. That's what's stopping it. So look for your drive shaft. Look for where your threaded rod goes through this little bracket. If it's coming in fine after this, then I would look in this area here, and then I would look in this area here for where that might be happening. So I'm glad once it goes in, it's fine. But they're fun to work on. What's not fun is to kind of square them up. We'll get called in, and sometimes people will adjust them, because you can adjust all these little pieces here, and it might be perfect when it's out, but then try to make it go in and it won't, and then you're playing geometry to try to get it to square up. Sometimes when they leave the factory, you can kind of see where the paint was or where a match mark was. And so what we do in those situations is we put it back the way it was, as close to factory as we can. Sometimes that fixes everything. Sometimes we have to really get geometric and fix it. But anyway, look there, and lubricate that, and see if that doesn't help with the snapping and popping you're hearing on that.
All right. Scott says, my trailer connection would not power my power lift on my trailer.
Trailer connection, okay.
And I'm not really sure what the rest of the question says.
So you have like a tongue jack that's motorized?
Scott, maybe you can clarify. It says, ho, an amazing troubleshoot that. So maybe you can...
Okay, elaborate on that a little bit. Okay.
Okay, and then we'll if you post in the comments, we'll circle back and answer that. Linda, she's the one in Squim. She says, I bought my camper trailer winterized, so how do I dewinterize it?
Oh, perfect. Connect it to city water. Okay, so if you want to dewinterize this thing, typically people who winterize their RVs leave them in different states, okay, states of winterization. So that is to say, find your water heater. Sometimes if it's the suburban water heater, the anode rod has been removed and the water heater's in bypass mode. So find your water heater first and if it's a Dometic or an Atwood, you're going to put a plug back in it. If it's a Suburban, it's going to have the anode rod. You're going to put that back in it. Put your Teflon tape on her. So a lot of times when they winterize an RV, they'll leave all that off. Okay. So that's the first step. Second step is on the back of your water heater. Try to get to the back of your water heater and try to study those valves. Because when you winterize an RV, you put the water heater in bypass mode, so you don't have 6 gallons of RV antifreeze or 10 or 12 gallons of RV antifreeze filling up your water heater. So we bypass a water heater. So look on the back of your water heater and just, who knows how they left it, but put the valves so that the water will go in the water heater on the top and out the water heater on the bottom, and sometimes there's a little valve between the two that needs to be turned off. Depending on what kind of RV you have, sometimes there's a lever somewhere else, but that's the simplest form. So now that you've got your water heater re-put into your system, you've put your drain port back on, whether that's the anode rod with the Suburban or it's the plug with the Dometic or Atwood. And your bypass is back in normal mode, so water will actually flow through your water heater. One of the things I like to do is then go to my low point drains, which you'll see underneath your RV. Every RV's got these things. You might have 2 clear pipes, a red and a blue, but they're going to be near each other. You might find a third pipe sticking out that's all by itself, which is probably your freshwater tank drain. So these are going to be 2 little PEX lines typically that are sticking out. Different manufacturers cap those off different ways, but open those. Okay, they should have been opened when the RV was winterized. So you want to open those, and then you want to connect your RV to fresh water, city water. Okay, and when you're putting city water through your plumbing lines and your low point drains are open, you're going to see the pink fluid coming out at that point. Okay, getting all the pink RV antifreeze out. Okay, great, wonderful. It's coming out clear, fantastic. Let's go turn off our city water, cap off or turn off, or however your manufacturer did it, to close those low point drains. Overwhelmingly, most of your RV antifreeze is now out of the system. Okay, and then turn your city water back on, and then go to each fixture and just run it, and you might have a little bit of a pink residue coming out of the stuff. It's food grade. It's very sweet. I've done a job a couple years ago, and I was trying to do something, and I knew I had to cut this line because it was on a tiny home, if I remember. It wasn't an RV, so they did not have low point drains or anything. And the only way to do this is to cut this line that was it was pressurized and had RV antifreeze in it. And so I cut it, it just exploded, and I got a mouthful of this. It's very sweet, and I did not go blind, did not get weird, anything. So it is food grade antifreeze. So yeah, just flush your toilet, flush all your stuff, turn on your water pump, and now you're back to camping again. And so plug your water heater. Get your water heater out of bypass mode into normal mode. Open your low point drains, flush it with fresh water, cap off your low point drains, go to each of your fixtures, and just kind of flush it out, and you're good to go. On your fresh water tank, you could Google the ratio. I used to know it, but I don't remember it. But there's a ratio of bleach to a gallon of water to the size of your tank that you could put inside of your freshwater tank. And then you fill up your freshwater tank with fresh water with a little bit of bleach in there. And then you go around, you run all your different fixtures and everything, and that little bleach will help sterilize all of your plumbing lines. But that information is on a lot of forums out there. You could just, do a search on how to sterilize your water lines, and that'll make them clean and happy. So hope that helps.
All right. And let me just make sure we haven't had anything from Scott. No. Okay.
On the tongue jack thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sean says, I'm going to be replacing a window in my 5th wheel. Is the sealant around the window basic silicone?
It could be. What I've used is 2 things. I used to use 2-sided foam tape when I did these windows. Honestly, now I use butyl tape on all that. So you can get a big roll of butyl tape. It doesn't ever get hard. And so when I do these windows, I'll just put butyl tape all around the flange as the window's laying down. I'll put it in and then tighten up with the screws on the inside with that inside flange. And then I'll take I call them window tools. There's these little blue chisel looking tools. They're fantastic. If you're doing any RV work, I know it was hard to find, but I found them, and they're on our Amazon store under, I think, Shop Tools. It's like you get like 10 of these little things for like $3 or something. It's ridiculous. But they're little blue, little chisel looking deals. And they're fantastic. And so once your window is put in and all the butyl tape squirts out, so I like the butyl tape much better than the silicone, because the butyl tape, there's not a chance water's going to get in there.
How about the ones that don't want to take the windows out and they just want to reseal it?
He's replacing his window though.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
Well, let me finish this story and then we'll do that. So once your window is back in, and then's the exciting, very satisfying part. You take that little blue window tool or little plastic chisel, and you just kind of peel off all that butyl tape that oozed itself out. And it's very satisfying to do that. And what's going on?
I was just saying, Dakota used to play with
They're
the
distracting me, so I'm trying to focus on your answer. What I would caution you not to do right away is, with the butyl tape oozed out and you've taken the little plastic chisel and you've kind of peeled it off, which is very satisfying, don't be so quick to run a silicone bead around. I don't even use silicone. I use RV ProFlex. Okay, I don't even stock silicone at all. I don't see where silicone would ever be used on an RV. In all my experience of service calls, silicone has caused more rot problems than, because you put it on there and it looks great, it's not. So there's a product called RV ProFlex. Again, it's in our, I feel like I'm plugging our Amazon store, but you could go see what we're talking about, and that's under Shop Tools. It's also made by GSL, the company, the manufacturer, and it's called RV ProFlex. That's a mineral spirits type product, and you could even put that on wet. So anyway, after you put your window on, with your butyl tape, under the flange, and this stuff oozes out, you take your window tool, you peel it off. Don't be so quick to run a bead of sealant around that, because the next day or two, as that sealant seats, you're going to have more oozing out of that butyl tape around it, okay? And then you get another satisfying thing of peeling it all off. Had you put the butyl tape on your flange, put your window on, let it ooze out, chiseled it off, and then put the sealant on right away, those are the RVs that you see after a time. You'll see this sealant that they put on that looked great when they did it. You'll see it kind of bulging out, because guess what? That butyl tape oozed out. And your beautiful sealant job, like a volcano, just got pushed out. So these days, when I do window jobs, or even a Schwintek, the Schwintek we just did, I put butyl tape behind it. Big, huge fan of butyl tape. And I put it done, and I am done. I do not put a bead of sealant on the outside of it. I just take my little window tool chisel, I peel it off, I'm done. Whether it's a window, a door. Now, if it's on the roof, I just put a roof vent on today. And so I put my butyl tape on it, seat it in there, put my screws around it, and then I will take my EPDM self-leveling sealant, and I'll put a nice little, Dairy Queen curly Q around the thing. And then I've got a really wide plastic chisel, and I'll just kind of help the self-leveling thing. And I think I did a video, gosh, it seems years ago, where I did a video of one, and they look really nice. And it improves your fuel mileage because they're all aerodynamic. And anyway, really answered this question to death, but so no, I do not use silicone at all. You'll know if the RV's got silicone if you can find a corner and you peel it and the whole thing just starts peeling off. You do not want that to happen. If I can peel this thing off, the water is going to get in there. What you want is something where you find a piece, you peel it off, it goes 2 inches. You peel it off, that's what you want. It's hateful to get off. That's what you want on your RV. Silicone's very easy to work with. The RV ProFlex is very difficult to work with. It's a mineral spirits thing. I wear rubber gloves because if you get on it, it's real sticky. You have about a 30-second window to work with it before it gets really, really sticky. There's where your mineral spirit comes in. And if you guys want, I could do a video on this. There's a way that I hold my sealant gun and I push the bead instead of pull the bead, and I can. That way, I don't ever have to go back and touch it. Once you run your bead, you're done with it. So I might do a video on shop tips. I don't know. It's in my head. Answer that question to death, but hopefully in there you've got some answer out of what I would do on windows and slide rooms and everything else. I use butyl tape.
All right, neighbor family says, hello, thank you for your assistance with multiple things on my RV. My AC fan motor mount just broke. Any suggestions?
Okay. If everything else is working just fine and you got to fix that, what are those things called? It's like a rivet gun. Well, you could rivet it. but it's a rivet gun, but it puts threaded rivets in. I know there's somebody out there that knows the name of this thing. I got a whole set of them with all the different size of these things. It's like a rivet gun looking deal, and you put this thing in from the backside and you squeeze it, and now you've got a threaded thing to put your bolt in. Can't think of what that's called. I've got them. So whenever I need to fix things like that, oftentimes I'll either rivet it, or I will use one of these things that I can't remember the name of it, but it's kind of like a rivet, but it gives you something that's threaded. And just zipped by my mind. But anyway, a nut cert, yeah, that's what it is, a nut cert, yes. Those are fantastic. Use them on a lot of different things like this. So you might need to take your air conditioner off to get to the back side to get that nut cert in, or that's exactly what it is, a nut cert. They're fun. They're a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun with them. Amazing where you can put a threaded bolt on something. You know, just drill a hole, put the nut cert in it, and you're good to go. So that might help for you. If the air conditioner is working fine, you just need that, a rivet or a nut cert or bolt nut, you know. But big fan of the nut certs. So I hope that helps you. And but hopefully the whole rest of the air conditioner is fine. But that's an idea there.
All right, and then we just have a fun one from Abby, Roswell, New Mexico.
Ooh.
And she said, we had AC and fridge problems last week. We watched a video concerning the converter. That was the problem. Thanks to your video, it only cost us $240 to repair it ourselves. Thanks for that feedback. Yeah, it's
So
fun.
that's why we do
fun
this.
to hear those.
Right to repair. We need to fix our own stuff, right?
And kind of funny with that dewinterizing, I'm going to have you show me how to do that next week. Because we are brand new RVers as well.
Yes,
we just have a little tiny pop-up camper, and we are brand new. We're going to Idaho next. Oh, this month. It's July. We're going to Idaho this month. So, okay. So,
have a working party.
Let's see. Edward says, I just replaced the controller for my Schwintek slide. How come the test procedure does not ever condemn the controller? When I did my diagnosis, I had power in, switch input, and no output to the motors.
Ah, okay, no output to the motors, but everything else. I have worked on hundreds, literally hundreds. I don't think it's been thousands, but I've worked on hundreds of Schwintek slide room error issues. And in all those hundreds, I've only replaced 3 controllers. 2 of them were because water had dripped on them and they shorted out internally, and one of them was because it got hit by lightning and blew the thing up. So I'm curious, when your controller was bad, I would love to know more about, so you're getting power in on the 2 battery leads that are on the right-hand side. On the bottom, you're getting your switch mechanism. But when you flip the switch, nothing's coming out. Fascinating. Not to say that they don't fail, but that's just very, very rare. So the test procedure, so I think the question you had was, when you're doing the testing procedure for the Schwintek, why does it not include diagnosing the actual control module itself? Unless it was like, because I've never seen them break. Not to say that they don't, but I guess they come off some big assembly line and there's nothing to break on them. Like I said, the 3 that I've replaced in the literally hundreds of Schwinteks that I've been working on, 2 are because they were underneath a water drip and water dripped on them and eventually just corroded the whole things out. And then one of them definitely got hit by a lightning and you see the parts blown off the board. Typically, what we find on Schwintek is they're not lubricated, therefore they're hard to move, therefore the motors amp out, because the controller is the controller is blind and deaf. All it understands is it can count pulses and it can read current going to the motor. That's really all it can do. And then it can count pulses from your little, purple, green, brown wire, I think. I know that red and black wire are running to the motors. And so it can count pulses. That's all it can do. And it can read current going to the motor. And everything it does is based off of those 2 things. So if this slide room is having a hard time coming in or out, one side is lubricated, the other side's not, or any variation of things, then it's going to amp out that motor and you're not going to get a fault on it. The motor just amped out. The controller did what it was told to do. When you get to a certain amp rating, just stop. No fault at all. You humans see that the room's like sticking halfway out or going sideways or cockeyed. But the room doesn't see that. It just reads the current going to the motors, and it's like, well, the motor's got too much current going to them, so I'm just going to stop right now. I realized I wasn't answering your question, and I was telling a story about Schwintek, so I kind of stopped. Lost ball and tall weeds here, Darren going on and on Schwintek. I've got so much information in my head on Schwintek, I can't help but go on it.
But I think I caught your answers with, at least with regards to the controller, is that you've never seen a controller fail outside of like a freak accident,
yeah.
And so that's probably why they don't have that as, you know, sort of a diagnose option.
They do have. So when you're getting a new controller, you need to flip your dip switch, so clockwise, counterclockwise, and then there's that little part on the sticker with a little circle with the X on it, where if you tear into that, you voided the warranty. So you, gentle user, have access to the dip switchy and the push button thing, but us technicians, there's a whole bunch more that we can do with those controllers that you can't do with them, because we are allowed to tear it into that little voiding of the warranty thing. But there's a lot more that we can do with those things that I won't get into here because I don't want to get in trouble. But there's manuals and service manuals out there if you go look on other things that a service technician can do to these controllers. But in order to get to that, you need to go through the that little paper label cover where it's got a little circle with an X on it. Or you just take the screws off and get to the backside and dump out your paper. Anyway. But then it's not enough just to know that there's another button back there. You have to know what to do with that button. And so go find your service manuals on those things, and there's really nothing you need to know to do there. You're just playing around with some other features to it, but just stay in the shallow end. Don't start getting too crazy with these things, or you will tear up your slide room because the thing doesn't know when to stop, and it'll literally eat itself. So best to stay away from those things. But I think you push a button, I think 9 faults, or there's more faults than that. But anyway, so Schwintek is my absolute favorite slide room. The room this and the this, that. Wonderful, fantastic. But if the Schwintek is lubricated, if it's maintained and kept clean and healthy, that thing will last a long, long, long time. They diagnose themselves, they're easy to fix, they're easy to recover from. It's really a fantastic engineering marvel. I know there's a lot of people that don't like them. My question to you is, the ones that don't like them, did you lubricate it and keep it clean? Overwhelmingly, the people that are having the problems with these Schwinteks, they did not lubricate them, they do not keep them clean, and they're just expecting 5 years of use, it should work just fine. And yeah, it's a mechanical component. It needs to be the care and feeding. I might write a whole novel on the care and feeding of a Schwintek. Why does Darren love the Schwintek so much? I'll do that in my spare time. He
says, when I replaced the controller, I found the ground connector at the module was loose on the PC board.
Oh, okay, so we did have a failure. Yeah. That would be fun to, because I've looked at those under loops, and the one that blew up with the lightning bolt looked fine from here, and then I looked on it through a loop, and you could see one of the little resistors was just blown up, and so that would be a rarity, because like I said, it's most of these things are, I've never replaced one because it failed. So
all right,
maybe that's why they don't route you to that. But yeah, they could fail, I guess. Yeah.
We'll go out on this question, which is from our recent video, Solar Install Tips. Good morning. I have one quick question. This is from Jack. I have two 200W panels, and one is partially shaded by the AC cover part of the time. So is it better to put in parallel or series because of the shading? And actually, this Friday, we're going to release a clip from our Patreon live stream that we did, where you talked about series parallel.
Yes. So you have 2 panels. Okay, well, let's go there real quick. Okay, so if you have 2 panels, I like 4, but you have 2. Okay, so there's 2 ways to wire these things, and so I'm just going to put a controller down here. Down here. So I'm going to say here's the plus, here's the plus, here's the minus, here's the minus. Okay, there's the minus, there's the minus. So there's 2 ways to wire these 2 panels. One is in series, where you take this plus and you connect it to this minus. And then you would go to this minus to your controller and this plus to your controller. Okay, so if you said they were 200 watt,
Yeah.
Okay, so 200 watts. So we need to know three things: volts, watts, and we could use Ohm's law, but you're giving me wattage, but I need to know. So I've got 200 watts, but we need to know two pieces of information to solve our little Ohm's law, Watt's law equation. So if we have 200 watts and we do it this way, 200 plus 200 is 400. So you're going to give 400 watts into your controller. So that's one way to wire them. Okay, now the bad thing about that is the analogy I give in series, and I did it in a video, I don't know how many videos, is like going into a grocery store. So follow with me on this, and then we'll do the other way. Okay, so here's my grocery store, and we talked about this with regard to batteries. So everything we talk about on batteries, of wiring a battery series or series parallel, also applies to wiring solar panels series parallel or series parallel. Now I had mentioned a minute ago I like 4 panels because with 4 panels I could do a series parallel configuration, and so your whole shading of your air conditioner thing gets taken out of the equation. So whether it's batteries or solar panels and you're going to wire them in series, here's how that would look. Okay, so I have to go shopping. Okay, so I have 2 stores to go to. 1, 2 batteries, 2 solar panels. So I'm going to go into this store right here, and I'm going to go up here, down here, up here, down here, up here, down here, and then I'm going to leave this store, but I'm not going to check out. I'm just going to leave this store. It's one of those stores where I can go to multiple stores. And I'm going to go into the door of this store, and I'm going to go through my thing, and then I'm going to go through my cash register, and I'm going to cash out. So I went through my store in series, didn't I? I had to go up and down every aisle, leave one store, go up and down every aisle, leave the store, go cash out. If I had 4 panels and they were all in series, then I'm going to do one panel after the other after the other. I'm going to go in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. We wire our flashlights the same way. I don't have one on me, but we take the bulbs, oh, that's perfect. Let me get that again. I keep dropping the blue one. So here's my battery on my flashlight. Here's the plus, here's the minus, here's the plus and the minus on our battery. Don't we put the plus and the minuses together in our flashlights? Yes, we do. Okay, so our batteries and our flashlight are in series. Therefore, if I have a 1.5 and a 1.5 and I put them in series, we add that up, we get 3 volts. Great. We understand series. So I'm going to erase series now. And you're telling me that's how you have it wired. So if that's how you have it wired, and half of it is covered by shading, then if I need to go pick up one item from each aisle in my store, and let's just say I had 6 aisles here and 6 aisles there, therefore when I come to my store I end up with 12 items, okay? Well, if half of it's shaded, then I didn't get 12 items, did I? I only got maybe 9 items because I'm not able to get to that aisle. Does that kind of make sense? Okay. When we were talking batteries, we were talking about the cells in a battery, and if it's in series, that's why they say within a series connection, solar or battery, it's only as strong as its weakest cell. Okay. So I have to go through it this way. Now let's do parallel real quick, and then we'll finish up with that. So I'm going to leave that. I'm going to change my wiring here. Okay, so same to, so we have wattage here, but we need to, what's the other? Okay, so here's our 200 solar panels. Now what we're going to do is we're going to wire the minuses together, and we're going to wire the pluses together. Now they're parallel. Okay, so it wouldn't matter if I came off of this or that, but now I'm going to have my negative to here and my positive to here. Now I only have 200 watts, but my capacity, amp hours, voltage, I'm on the spot. I know this, believe me, but I'm on the spot and my brain is just shutting down, trying to think of it under pressure. So I know in a battery, if you had a 6, let me just say this was a battery, if this was 6 volts and 200 amp hours, if I were to do parallel like this, then I would have, 6 volts at 400 amp hours, you double this, and if I was to go do series, I would have 12 volts at 200 amp hours. So you see how one way adds the capacity, one way adds to the current. I am making a mess of this.
Well, that's okay because we're publishing a video this Friday, so
Good. Okay.
tune in for that,
Yeah.
and we will explain, or Darren will
Yes.
explain the series parallel with a diagram
Yeah.
and
So-
everything.
But your controller needs to know what it's got coming to it. So this is to say, guess what? If your air conditioner was blocking this much of your solar panel, hey, it's not a big deal because you went to both stores at the same time. Remember the stores we had down here? In and out. In series, you have to go in series, but in parallel, you have two of you, and you went into both stores at the same time and came back out. And so there's a benefit of the parallel, and then series parallel is the best of both worlds, where it kind of just everybody's happy. And series parallel is my favorite, but you need 4 in order to do that. I hope I made sense of all that. Okay, it's a favorite topic of mine, but you know, they throw it at you and it's like, go. I'm like, you know, so anyway, hope that helps. All right, I'm gonna race.
Okay, so that's it for the questions. A couple comments that I'll tell you. So
Be nice.
Corey says, I used your suggestion with the homemade switch system plugged directly into the Schwintek controller.
Ooh.
Worked like a charm.
Yay.
Thanks for the help.
Because I'm recovering from a 1-star review.
And
I don't care.
and
That
then,
means I'm real, right? Yeah.
And then Dennis said, I have the same problem as Edward, 2 slide controllers and Unity controller also. So he's having some issues there too. So maybe they'll need to add a diagram with that as
maybe
an
they're
issue.
just starting to make them cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
I did want to compliment Darren on the lighting tonight and the set.
Ooh,
I was like halfway through and I noticed you put that little plant thing behind
I got here
you, so
early. I
thank
was here by
God.
myself, and I was just, the engineering mind was able to just like, let me do this right. So, hey, cool.
And just a reminder that we have lots of additional content for you over on Patreon, so check us out over there. There's a link in the description.
Yeah.
We've got lots of cool content over there. We also have a business principles course. There's a link to that down below as well. And I can't guarantee we're going to continue to do live streaming every single month. We're going to talk that over tonight and kind of decide if we're going to keep doing that. But we will periodically be here for live streams. And if you join us over on Patreon, we'll probably keep that as a monthly live stream over there.
Benefit for those folks.
So yeah, so check us out, and hopefully we'll see you on the next one. And thanks so much for joining us.
All right, happy 4th of July. Yay.